Have you ever been like in the grocery store and you notice somebody, you make eye contact at one place, and then you go along and you're doing your shopping, and all of a sudden they're in the same aisle that you're in again, and you make eye contact and you go on shopping, and then it happens again and again, until the point where you're almost going, I hope they don't think I'm stalking them, right? Has it happened to you? The other day, this week, it happened, and there was this lady who was pushing a cart, and in the cart was a boy who was probably too big to be in the cart normally. And he was sitting with his back up against the front part of the cart with his feet up about that thing that comes in and out. And it was clear that he was unhappy. He was very unhappy. Sometimes he even was kicking that cart to kind of make it difficult for Mom. And he was yelling. Mom was just calmly holding it together, doing everything that, right, that they teach you how to do when a kid's having a temper tantrum. The kid was really old to be having this kind of temper tantrum if I look at his size and that. And I have to tell you, the first time it happened, I thought, oh, thank God I don't have to take my kids grocery shopping anymore, and I don't have these temper tantrums. And then I went on, and the next time I met her and saw her, I was like, wow, do I say something to encourage her? Like, you're doing a great job? Or, what do you do? And I didn't. I just kind of looked. And then as it would have it, she's a person right in front of me in the checkout lane. And I'm really going the whole time thinking, oh, I want to encourage this mom. And, but I don't know her. And it might not feel like an encouragement if a stranger says, hey, type thing. So I struggle with it and don't say anything. And I think that experience is a perfect one for us to realize when we talk about Jesus blessing the children. I mean, we have this beautiful sacred art right here in our sanctuary. And I love it because this is like a telltale sign of who this church chooses to be. Because in that day and time, the people who were not valued, the people who were excluded, the people who were thought of as nothing are the people in our sacred art, the women and the children. Well, you could make a case that it's still an issue in our day and age, but it's not to the level that it was then. And we have the story of Jesus blessing the children, and I have to tell you, whenever I think about it, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you think of this beautiful place, right? There's nice wilderness, or there's a park area, and there's trees, and there's beauty, and all these kids are coming, and it's beautiful. It's Norman Rockwell in our mind, right? It's perfect. It's beautiful. The reality is, it probably wasn't that. Brian Stroffergen says, so why were the parents taking the kids to be with Jesus? In our mind, we're conditioned that it's like the Santa picture. Every year we have to go and we put our kids with the Santa. We dress them up. They look great. If they don't want to sit on his lap, we push them on, And Jim once said, why are you trying to teach our children to sit on strange men's laps? But we have this thing where it's this perfect picture, right? And what Brian says is, one of the words associated to it is a healing word. I never thought of all these parents bringing the children to Jesus to be healed. I just kind of thought of it like the Santa picture, that they just wanted them to be around Jesus and be blessed by him. But a statistic I found out this week was that 60% of the children died before they were 16 years old. 60% of the children died in that time before they were 16 years old. So they were not bringing the children there to do this little photo op thing. They were bringing children that were sick, that were diarrhea, that had the rotavirus. And I'm telling you, if you've been around that, you know how horrible that is because it smells. They were bringing kids that could walk. They were bringing kids that were not in their pretty clothes. They were in their dirty, overused poverty, if they even had it, not matching, not pretty dress. Sick kids. Kids that needed a touch of healing, kids that needed a touch of blessings, kids that needed love and acceptance. Kids who needed to be valued. The beauty of Jesus blessing and welcoming the children is that they didn't have to do anything. Our minds who have lived in this world for so many years condition us that we've got to be pretty. We got to be perfect. This is a photo op. We have to do all this stuff to try to be worthy of love, of God's love. And what this story tells us is that it's not true. We just got to be. Those kids didn't ask him theological questions. They didn't talk to him about politics and theories and ideology, and they weren't world scholars. They were kids that climbed on him. Have you ever been around kids? They climb on you, and sometimes when they're climbing, it's not comfortable. They were kids. And he welcomed them, and he accepted them, and he loved them, and he said, get this, the kingdom of heaven is like these children. They just are. They're not trying to impress. They're not trying to work real hard to earn favor. They just are. That's all that's required. Is we just have to be to receive God's love. God's love that's been reaching out, loving us since our moment of our first breath. God's love that surrounds us and walks with us throughout our life. The Jeremiah passage is important because the people in that time, it wasn't hopeful, and it hadn't been hopeful for over 100 years. And God said, I have plans for you. Not of unlimited prosperity, not of an easy life, that I will be with you. That there is nowhere you can go that I will not be. And if you look for me, you'll find me. Friends, we start a new year. And there can be so many things that we can focus on in this next year and 4 years. Let us focus on two things. All we have to do is be, to be loved by God. And that God is with us no matter what is before us. Let us enter this year of 2017 seeking God. Seeking God's face, seeking God's presence, being aware of God with us, knowing all that we have to do is climb up in the arms of love. Let us pray. Holy God, help us just be kids in your arms, that we might know your healing and love, your safety, your presence. We pause now and we lift up our joys, our thanksgivings, and our prayer concerns.